Hello. Hi, I'm Janice Short and welcome to this week's. We're going to work today on the power of your story. We started with this the very beginning because it's really important. Your story is you. It's your brand. I'm going to share a little teeny bit about how powerful your story is. As health coaches and in the health and wellness industry, when people see us, they see us on the other side. Like when you're looking at me, you could probably not even imagine me 9 years ago when my hair had fallen out. I was very sick. And like I was at death's door. But when people see me now, they can't relate to that. And they think, well, she's not going to even understand what I'm going through, right? She looks healthy. But the truth of the matter is when I share my story, I become relatable to them. They see themselves on my journey. And it's sometimes really painful to share your story, but it's also very powerful because you're reaching out, you're building that rapport. And what we build in this session, we're going to use through the entire 12-week program. So I'm just going to click right through all of this and this is just a little bit about me. You guys know that I'm an entrepreneur, founder of Health Influencers Mastermind and Best Holistic Life and Oh My Health There Is Hope podcast. So a lot of you have already been on the Oh My Health There Is Hope podcast and it's picking up a lot of really interesting people. We are going to go into the section 1, the power of your story. First of all, this is super important. Don't be ashamed of your story. It will inspire others. You guys all have a workbook that you can follow along with me. And so I'm going to do this really quickly because the real work is going to begin when we start our stories and we come together in the group later. So don't be ashamed of your story. It'll inspire others. People like to know that we are not perfect and that we make mistakes and that we were in the darkest valleys and now here we are. And so we want to share our stories. We don't want to hold all that back. And why share your story? It's a great way to connect. It brings depth to who you are. You're not superficial anymore. They can relate to you. It gives them permission to show up and share their stories with you. It makes you very authentic. It brings awareness to your brand, who you are and what you do. And it gives a sense of community to everybody. So I want you to go through this page and just start marking down things in your story that are going to gather these. This is what our story is all about. There's an emotional side to stories, and I'm going to just let you read the factual and emotional side on your own, but this is really powerful when you read what these say to others. And so when I read it, I was like, your website conversion rates are 6 times higher if you're personal and you share your story on it. That's crazy. So you want to read the emotional side, how it affects people emotional, and what it actually is doing for your business. I cannot say your story is powerful enough because it is the basis, the core of your brand. Here's another really great page that's going to teach you a little bit about being vulnerable when you're telling your story. It gives it purpose and meaning. It makes a connection. You are building amazing rapport. You want to remember to have courage, to be imperfect, have compassion, be kind first. We are always kind first, right? As health and wellness coaches, we know that we get attacked a lot because people get scared as they start to get through that healing process. You just have to put on that thick skin and give back compassion, love, and understanding. You want to connect and your connection is due to your being authentic to yourself and your story. Embrace your vulnerability, right? Embrace that you may have felt more than once in the same thing. So embrace that, share that. I get it. I went on that diet 6 times and realized that that diet wasn't for me. And so just share that story with others. This is another one that you're just going to check off. And I just want to go through these worksheets with you because again, the real work starts when we get together in the group. You learn it's not that big of a deal if you are imperfect because everyone is. But if we keep telling them like, no, that never happened to me, how are we going to teach them, right? They need to know and understand that we are imperfect as well. It builds confidence in them, opens doors. Do you see where this is going? Helps us realize just how brave, strong, and amazing we are and how brave, strong, and amazing they are when they're sharing their stories with us. It encourages and it stakes your claim in your client, right? They know this is my expert. They understand me. They get it. They've been there. They were once me. The importance of telling your story. You're going to want to be a good communicator, right? Don't start at birth because yeah, that's part of your story, but it's not really the important part. Or maybe in your case, it might be, but you don't want to drag out getting to it, but you want to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning should be like a story of the struggle, how you got into the struggle. The middle, of course, is the struggle. Maybe your deepest, darkest part, like the part where you were ready to give up. And then the next part of your story should be the coming of age, basically, the light shining, how you moved into maybe how you became this amazing health coach, or how you got into your expertise and you're now sharing it with others. So when you're building, use the importance of telling your story. It's going to really help you with the things that you want to bring forward. And it doesn't matter, I've rewritten it's the same story, but I've rewritten it multiple times because there are times that I remember things, or that I'm much more comfortable about sharing something, or I see my target market needs to hear that. And so go ahead, and we're just doing a rough draft so that when we all look at it together, we'll see. I always say, successful brand storytelling. You are your brand. So all of us that are working with an MLM, I love MLMs. I use some of the products from MLMs, but my brand is not that MLM. They did an amazing job already on their own. But if I'm sharing, I'm just using this for instance, by the way, if I'm sharing that product, they're coming because of my story. They're coming because of what I'm sharing with them. So you should always be your brand, and no matter what coaching field you're in, you never change, even though we grow, right? We learn more, we grow more, and maybe if we're educating on nutrition, and weight loss, but we find that, like, wow, it's more important to do nutrition and inflammation. And in the meantime, you're gonna be losing weight. So your brand can grow through your story. You want to incorporate story elements into it. So main characters, you're the main character, correct? You want to include a plot, a conflict. So these are all great things that you could incorporate in your story. You want to humanize it, make it personal to you. It's okay to get emotional in your story because you want them to see the real you. Make it visual. So be sure you describe, like I describe when I say how sick I was. I had lost my hair. My fingernails had come out of the nail beds. I was so malnourished, and I carried this backpack around that I had to carry for 18 hours a day to feed me through a PICC line. And it was so heavy the first few hours, I couldn't even stand up because I didn't have the strength to lift that backpack. And I just drew a visual to part of my story. So you want to be sure to be a little bit graphic in your story and not just say I was being fed through a PICC line and I became malnourished. I want them to understand what my journey was really like and what I was really experiencing. A picture is worth a million words. That is so true. And I say this all the time, and I get corrected by my family, but I read visually. And of course, everybody reads visually, but I stop at a picture. I stop at a color. I'm an interior designer. And so texture, color, that stops me. But most people do the same thing. They will read big captions, and they're going to see your pictures first, and that's what's going to stop. So you want to put a very compelling story. A lot of you will submit selfies, and selfies are awesome if you're posting on Instagram. But if you're posting on your storyline or your website, you want to have a few really good shots. You don't have to spend a lot of money when you're creating storylines for your story or your Facebook or anything you're doing. A lot of you already understand this, but just for those of you who don't understand the importance, I sometimes get selfies or photos when I'm asking for a media kit or a bio, and they look like mugshots. They're very solemn, and you could tell it's a selfie. So let me give you a couple tips about taking pictures yourself. I have taken some beautiful professional looking photos with my phone by having someone else take the shot using portrait mode if you have portrait mode. But the camera on the back side of your phone is completely different than the camera you use when you're taking a selfie, and it will take a much better quality shot. You can adjust the lighting. There's so much more you can do. So just have your friend or a family member help you with those photos and create some higher quality photos for these, because it's super important. If I see a grainy photo or one that's been doctored too much, it takes away from the authenticity of your story and it being real. So here's some tips on what you can be doing to remember when you're writing your story. We will get to writing your story, I promise you. Look at a day-to-day events that it took and draw out like examples of what you went through on day-to-day. You're gonna do a long story, because here's what happens with your long stories. It could be like several pages. We take little highlights and we start using those throughout your social media, throughout your promos. For instance, mine might be, I lost my hair and my nails. I thought they would never grow back. Is that going to grab your attention? Yes. And then when they come in, it's a little bit more about my story. Or it might be, I thought I was going to die. I was sent home to make peace with my family and I was struggling with that. Yes, but I'm here 9 years later. That's going to get someone's attention. So we take little bits of your story, we break them down to little paragraphs that we start running through your social media. That's who you are. That's your brand. And that's how we start building your brand. We'll put a little of them on your websites, again, throughout social media. And you're going to use a lot of this when you do bios, because your bio should be not just a dictation of what you've accomplished and who what your credentials are, because that makes you sound very automated. But we want some personal stuff in your bio. It's that makes you, and it can't just be, I'm a wife, I have 4 kids, I have 6 grandkids, I went to this school, I went to that school, this is my job, because that makes you very automated. We want you to stand out and people to relate to you. We're going to help you write the perfect about page. Your story is going to create, as I said, it's going to create posts. We're going to do an about page. It's going to create bios. This is going to be things to look for when you're doing your about page. You're only going to be writing one long story, and we're going to show you how to make your story, how to perfect it, and how to use it in all these areas. So you definitely want to pay attention to this page. Here's some other tips for the about page. Again, there's the tip in there about taking photos. My daughter helped me with all, as a matter of fact, I'm not even gonna say she helped me. She created all these graphics for me. So shout out to Dr. D, thank you. And she knows that that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is getting a selfie when I know how awesome the cameras are on the back. Just flip it, have someone else do it. So this is a good way to help you with your tips for your about page. Again, we're just creating one long story from beginning to end, and I'm going to show you how to filter through that. This is a great fillable page. Introduce yourself. Add some of your favorite pictures. Describe products. So if you have a product, you can describe a product. Remember though, you are the most important product, and I never want you to get away from that. Why they need it. Why do they need your services? Why? Like, nobody's going to fill that hole in them unless they understand what that hole is and how you fill it. There's got to be a call to action. Call to actions, I will tell you, are my hardest. I bring experts into the group to help us with call to actions, because I just guess I never really get what a call to action is. And yet when I see one and I click on it, I got it. So we're going to work on how your story can be a call to action. Again, it could be, I was afraid I was going to die. Well, first of all, one of my call to actions was desperate for health answers, because I remember when I was digging around trying to find health answers and I was desperate, I literally typed into my keyboard, desperate for health answers. And I created a whole ebook for that. And so you can type in desperate for health answers and find my ebook, but it was a great call to action. But I still wasn't really getting it. And then we're going to want all your contact information, right? You want to send them, everything should link back to you, everything in your story. Everything links back to you as your brand. So we want websites, social media. If you've done any speaking engagements, if you're on the podcast, you could put featured guest speaker on, featured guest speaker at the summit. And so we want all that information, because that helps give you credibility and makes you stand out beyond everyone else. And if you think, well, I'm brand new at this on social media and I've only spoke at this one summit, or I did this one podcast for my friend and he was doing it out of the garage, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you will start upgrading those for bigger ones that you start getting invited to. Breaking down your mission. You should have, again, your story is going to be part of your mission statement, because what mine brought to me was, I realized that I was given a second chance when I was given these extra 9 years. And if I get another 9 and then another 9, that's awesome. But I live every day to serve others and to share my story of hope with others, so they might know that there's hope. And so that's part of my story. So we will have a mission statement for you as well, because mission statements are really important. Why do you do what you do? What is the reason? What do you want your clients to get out of working with you? So you're going to define your passion and motivation. That should be at the end of this story, correct? You're shining now. You're healthy. You've gone through the dark parts. Do you still fall? Absolutely. Continuing part of your story. You want to do at least 5 core life values. That's a great mission statement, part of your mission statement, and great part of your story. I know this seems like a lot, but these are just ideas. All of our stories are going to be different because all of us are different. We're all bringing something unique to the table, and which is going to make you really stand out as an influencer. By the way, when we're through with this, we're going to really be able to mark it down, and that'll be another lesson, but we're really going to be able to zone in on who your target client is, because it's really hard. Have you ever like had a bunch of people reach out to you and you're begging them to sign up with you? Like, I'm the perfect expert, and you're discounting. That is the worst thing you can do, by the way. Never discount yourself as an expert, ever. Never devalue yourself. You set a price, you can give them payment plans, but if they're not ready to jump in and get well and work with you, they're probably not ready, and they're not going to have a lot of success. So we'll go over all that again. But on your mission statement, you want to be clear and simple. Avoid elaborate language. So don't act too smart, because it's not that I don't want you to be smart, but I want you to speak to the masses, not just a few that might understand what you're saying. I want it easily explained by others. If I were to say, hey, Jill, I saw this great expert online. I want to be able to explain what I saw very easy to the next person. Most of your clients are going to be word of mouth on social media. And when you're building your Facebook groups and you're building your clientele list, you want people to say, this is what she does. And they break it down very quickly. I don't want them to be confused with your mission statement. So mission statements are pretty small. It's basically going to be what you want to bring to your client, what value you want to give them. Don't be confused. Don't get it really confusing with your whole story. Remember, we're going to break these all down. Your story is your story. So we're going to share that with everybody and break it down for all the different venues that you're going to use. After it's all perfected, you're going to type in a few of these things. Why is it important? Why do I exist? What is the broadest way to describe your work? These are just little worksheets for you to help building your story, so that maybe you can add these points in there and they'll just remind you. Sorry, my bracelet keeps banging. These are some check off things that you want to make sure that you have in your mission statement. Again, mission statement's part of the story, but as you're developing it, make sure you have all this in there. We've already gone over use language your audience uses, be warm and inviting, share your feelings, make sure to explain the why and how of the why I do what I do and how I do it. Again, if you don't create the need or them understanding the need, you will never convert those clients. And this is what this course is all about, is making you an influencer and converting your perfect clients. Write a single powerful statement, be specific, make it unique and memorable. By the way, you need to create your own quotes. As an expert, we should all have our own quotes. And I use mine all the time. I sign off on everything, that I'm changing the world one expert at a time. Because I remember how hard it was for me when I was sick, searching for experts online. So you'll want to go ahead and make sure you come up with some great quotes so that you start getting quoted. You start seeing your quote all over the place. I'm already seeing mine. Make it actionable and make it sure it flows well and sounds good when you read it out loud. You're going to bring all of this information. We're going to help you compile it as much as we can. And we're going to go over this and break it down for you so that we can start posting it everywhere. Build your vision statement. Building your vision statement's a little bit separate. So you're going to build your vision statement and we're going to incorporate that into your story, just like we're incorporating your mission statement, so that we can take those little blurbs out. Remember, when you're building your story, it could be 3-4 pages long, because we're going to use that all. Even when we share your story, it's going to be a shortened version, right? But we just want it all on there, just all the gibberish basically, and we're going to make sense of it later. So again, these are the little things that you want to fill in for your vision statement. This is what you vision doing out there. Like, what, it's not a mission statement, it's what your vision is. My vision is to connect experts, real experts, with people who are desperately seeking health answers. I don't want them to have to go through what I went through and run into a bunch of people who weren't real experts or natural medicine experts or doctors of natural medicine or holistic specialists. They were just selling me product. And I want to put an expert in front of everybody. So, and I want those experts to stand out from all those other experts that are doing that. I want them to be seen as the real expert they are, that they're authentic, that they're real, that they are not product driven. Their product is themselves. So that would be my vision for everyone, not my mission statement. Oh, this is a fun one, creating an elevator pitch. We're going to go over this in the class, and I actually have a worksheet that's so easy for you to do when you're filling out an elevator pitch. And so we can do this together, but our elevator pitch is part of our story, right? So once we get the story created, I'll give you a little worksheet. It's so easy. You just fill in a few spots and you got an elevator pitch. Elevator pitches, by the way, are super important. It's a great way for you to introduce yourself when you're doing lives, when you're, you know, going on a podcast, you do that quick elevator pitch. Nope. You want to get to your message really quick. So you do not want to spend a lot of time going over that mess or that elevator pitch. You want to get it in there really clean, know what it is, and feel very confident saying it. Oh, this is a quick way of, I didn't see this one and it's awesome, but the one I'm going to give you is even easier, but this will be a great starting point for you. So just fill this in so that when you bring it, we'll know what to put in those empty spaces for your elevator pitch. I actually really like this. And so just click it off when you're putting it in there. Actually, this is a really good way to break it down because these are the holes that we're going to fill in that introduction. And it's so quick. You will love it. Owning your story is the bravest thing you will ever do. That is so true, because I will tell you a little secret. When I first got into health and wellness, I did not want to share my story for a lot of reasons. First, I was embarrassed that I was that sick, and I didn't want anyone to know that I was weak and got sick. And it was of no fault of my own. Mine was basically not an illness. It was a surgical boo-boo that caused me to start declining in my health. So I was embarrassed. I did not want to share because who was going to be interested. And part of my story is I had to have my stomach removed, right? I had to have a radical gastrectomy. Who's going to relate to that? You would be surprised. So the first time I shared my story, which was several years after this experience, 3 or 4 years, I was in front of hundreds of people. And I was nervous. I could not wait to get off stage. In my head, I'm thinking, I will never do this again. And when I got off the stage, I started to walk away and a lady grabbed my arm, and she was one of the directors telling you where to go when you were finished, and when you went on stage, exit this way, you know. And I said, am I not done yet? And she says, yes, of course you're done, but did you not want to greet people? And I looked over, and there was probably 200 people waiting in line who wanted to talk with me, and they knew somebody or had something I had said had resonated with them. And they just wanted to know more. And at that point, I realized how powerful your story is and how selfish of me to not share with them, especially when I sit in front of my clients and I expect them to be completely open and honest with me, because that's how I best help them. So now I'm really open about sharing my story. And I hope that you all get as comfortable as I did with that, because it will grow your business. So I'm signing off now. I'm going to stop sharing and just pop on and say hey to everybody. I'm going to stop sharing this, and that is the first session. So what I want you to do is take the week and start working on your story. Start typing it out. You could do it in a Word doc or something that you can bring together in the group. And I'll go over them. You can send them in to me. Email me at jana@janashort.com. I'll go over them. I might send back a little thing, or I might tell you, oh, this is amazing. Can you expand on this? And we're going to work together getting your story. Because once we get your story, we're going to get it in print. I want to share a little secret with all of you, but I don't know if I want to share it now. I am going to share it now because this is how important this is to me. So come, I think it'll be spring, we will be launching a magazine called Best Holistic Life. And I want to start featuring experts in that magazine. Part of that is your story and your brand. So we're going to work on this so that we can feature experts that we are working with now in the first magazine. And your magazine is going to get out everywhere. It's going to be digital. It can be downloaded. So I am really excited about launching Best Holistic Life and letting people know that this is the best. These are the experts. These are the influencers. I want your story told. I want beautiful photos. I want them to know how to connect to you, what you do, more about you personally. So I'm really excited to share all of that. So I will be seeing you in the next episode in a week. I know this is a 12-week. We even have a bonus week that we're adding in. But this week, let's work on our stories. Let's open up, let's share. Remember, we are building our brands and getting that out there. And for those of you that are having a hard time with it, just reach out and let me know. I would love to work with you. Thank you guys, and I will see you next week, or I'll see you in the group. I don't know what day we're going to do the group, so I'm not going to post it in here because it's changing and these are new. So I will definitely have it in the group when you should be showing up with for our one-on-ones. Well, our group on one. Talk to you guys later, and thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear all of your stories.